What is up, guys? So it looks like JP has been talking shit again on YouTube, hasn't he? So we're going to have to put him in his place. I've already got rid of his scruffy little midget mate. Scruffy little Murphy. He's been evicted from YouTube. I might let him come back today, I don't know yet. But he's done it in a little sneaky little way. He didn't put my name in the title. He's made a video talking shit about me, and he didn't put my name in the title. He didn't use my picture, so I would never have known if someone hadn't told me, because I don't really watch his videos. He's the most boring man on YouTube. He didn't offer any personality. He's got no banter. He's not very likable. So I just really don't watch him, but it's only because he's talking shit about me. I've got to put him in his place. So here we are. Now, I'm not going to talk about your ridiculous fucking gnashers. I'm not going to talk about your big, ugly, fucking oval head. I'm not going to talk about your 9 chins and your fat little Pringle arms and your tiny little women claws. I'm not going to talk about your puffy little bitch tits and your pretend fight career that you've never fought anyone, never had a fight in your life, you're soft as shite. I don't need to talk about any of that to choke you out. I'm just kidding, that's all I'm going to fucking talk about. Now, who is JP? The most boring man on YouTube. All he ever does, sits on YouTube, on the dark side. He's like a pufferfish. I always say he's like a pufferfish. He survives on scraps. He swims underneath the fin. He survives on the underbelly of the dark side. He swims underneath the fin of the sharks like me, Brett May, Danny Christie. And whenever we're eating and eating other fish, little scraps fall down. That's when JP pops out his big fucking rubber gnashers and starts feasting on all the little scraps what we leave behind. And that's how he survives. That's all he ever does. He just like attaches himself to drama and pretends he wants to fight people. He just sits there watching dark side videos day in, day out, puffing on weed, ordering Chinese, pretending he wants to fight him, I remember the first time I ever saw him, right? It was ages ago. It must have been like 2 years ago. And he was doing the same thing then, what he's doing now. He was pretending he wants to fight MMA philosophy, some dude on YouTube. And he was saying, oh, I'll punch your head in, lad, you know, like he does. Come to Crew, because he knows no one's ever going to come to Crew, because no one even knows where Crew is. And then that other guy didn't go to Crew, and then he was like, oh, yeah, I've won, you know, and it's just absolutely pathetic. And here we are 2 years later, and he is supposed to have fought like everybody on the dark side, but he's not fought anybody on the dark side. I think he's 59-0 now, 59 fights, no losses, no draws, no wins, no fights, because he's a pretender. He's soft as shite. He's never had a fight in his life. In fact, I reckon I could beat him in a fight. You know what? I'd even tell you how I'd beat him, how I would defeat JP in a fight if we banged it out bare-fisted. Now, first of all, he looks like a Palestine protester. All he needs is a pig ring in his nose and blue hair. He's built like a Palestine protester. And I stand by this. He has never had a fight in his life. I can see it in him, because I know a squealer when I see one, and that guy is a squealer. Now, if we fought, right, first rule of Zombieland is cardio. I could beat him just based on cardio alone, because he's out of shape. He's never done a day's graft in his life. He's never had a job. He's never been to the gym. And he fights for his life just walking down the street. I remember seeing him doing a video and he was like, having life or death. Having life or death. Just walking slowly. And he was talking about, I'm going to climb to the top of YouTube. I'm going to conquer YouTube and climb all the way to the top. I thought, fucking, he can't even climb metaphorical stairs without getting out of breath. And he was fucking, he was so out of shape. I thought, wow, you need to get some running done. And that's how I'd beat him. I'd just sit back and I'd just let him beat himself. I used to do it in prison all the time, because I was the only guy in the wing that had the boxing gloves. So we used to go into an old TV room upstairs. We used to put the gloves on and we'd do some sparring, bosh, Black and Decker. And not to the face, just body sparring, although sometimes it did get a little bit out of hand and someone caught a few strays. But, you know, it was body sparring. And we always used to get, like people would see me going up there and doing the sparring and that. and you'd get some like big meathead or some big fat dude who'd occasionally come up and he'd fancy going like, oh, come on then, I'll do some sparring. And he would come in, I'd do the same thing every time and defeat him every time. And I would just cover up and they'd just fucking come tearing in with just throwing these big old bombs. And I'll just take them on my arms and my fucking ribs. And then I'd push them back. And then I'd let them go again. Boom, boom, boom. Push them back. And then after like, probably like 15, 20 seconds of that, they'd be like blowing out their arse like JDP walking down the street. And they'd be like, oh, that's enough now. I'd be like, fuck that, mate. Bosh, Black and Decker. Put a few around the elbows. And that'd be it. You know, that's exactly how I would beat JDP. There's so many ways to beat you. I would be playful with you. What else would I do? Another way I'd beat you, right? Because I stand by it. He's never had a fight in his life. You don't know what it's like to get pinged on the nose. Old Stongun's been pinged many times. I was getting whooped like once a month at one point. So I know how to protect myself, you know. I know how to ride the shots. But JDP, he's never had a fight in his life. And when I say never had a fight, I mean two dudes stood from one another, bare-fisted, let's bang it out. I'm not talking about you and your little mates going beating up some crackhead in the street. I'm talking about face-to-face. Never had a fight. So all I would do, because everybody knows on the dark side, Stongun's got one of the best jabs in the business. Speed and power that defies the laws of physics. So I'll just sit back, bosh, squiffed old poke on the nose, and he would just short circuit and he'd crumble to the floor. He'd start panicking because he's never been pinged before. You know, his brain would start short circuiting. It'd be like convulsing on the floor. He'd be convulsing on the floor like, what's happening? And that'd be it, game over. So yeah, that's what had happened. And if me and him banged it out barefisted, and this is not a call out because he'll just go away and say, oh, been called out again. Fuck off, you fucking dork. And why are you so fat? He can't seem to lose any weight. He always makes fun of addicts while being a fat fucking addict. He's puffing on weed all day, so he's addicted to drugs. He's clearly got a drinking problem because he moans about it afterwards. He's got a gambling problem because he gambled all his pit one week. He was on about it the other day. And he's clearly addicted to food because he's fat as a pig. So, you know, you've got a dim view on addicts, but you're a fucking addict yourself. And your addiction, you can't even lose a bit of weight. That's the easiest addiction. At least even scruffy little Murphy could lose a bit of weight. You can't. You've been that same disgusting physique for ages now. With your big fat arms. That's why I call him Pringle arms, because he's got fat arms, tiny little fists, and a little claw at the end. So he can't even get his hand into the Pringle box to get the last few crisps at the bottom. And that's what happens when you sat around looking at dark side videos, puffing on weed and eating takeaways all day. That is the result. JDP. And he was talking about, in his video, he was saying, what did he say now? Oh yeah, saying that I'm skinny because I live at my nan's and eat beans on toast all day. Now, first of all, my nan died a couple of years ago of dementia. It was awful, to be honest. But I'm skinny like this because I work at it. I'm skinny because I'm disciplined. Anybody can be fat. Since when is that a flex? A fat guy making fun of a skinny guy. Like, oh, look at him, he works out. Look at his athlete's body. You know what I mean? Making fun of these fat fucking porker there. Well, that's why I'm skinny, because I don't wake up every day and eat fucking full English breakfasts. I don't sit around scanning Big Macs and puffing on weed all day. I don't drink beer every night. I don't, all the things that you do. I don't order Indians and Chineses and can't be bothered to work out. I set myself a diet plan, an exercise regime, and I stick to it because I'm disciplined. But you don't know nothing about that. You've got no heart, you've got nothing in you, you've got no loyalty, no respect. That's why you're so, because you can't even lose a little bit of weight. That's why you've got such a dim view on addicts and smackheads and bagheads, because you've never had to struggle, you've never had to hustle. Everything in your life you've been given. So you don't know what it's like. And that's why you've got this ignorant view. Whereas if you'd have been through some shit, if you had some actual life experience other than sitting around puffing on weed all day, then you'd probably change your opinion. But yeah, he said something about my nan living with my nan. And so let's talk about your family life, shall we? This is just like a little insight into what a horrible human being Jordy P really is, because his dad is some kind of addict. Maybe that's why he hates all addicts. And he was, I remember a while ago, he did a video, he's probably deleted it now, because he's so ashamed and embarrassed and all the backlash he got from it. But his dad was sat in a chair, drunk, slavering, in a bit of a state. Now, if a normal person saw that, they'd be like, fucking hell, you know, that's tragic. How can I help this guy? But no, not JDP. No, JDP videoed him, made fun of him, mocked him, and then uploaded it onto social media for everybody else to laugh at, just for like 200 views. I mean, that just says everything you need to know about this guy, doesn't it? That's probably why he's mates with that scruffy little midget Merv, because he robbed a house off of his brother, you know, robbed his family, so he knows nothing about loyalty and respect and all that sort of stuff. But what he doesn't know is that I've actually been talking to a few dudes from Down Crew, because they actually messaged me behind the scenes. messaged me in private, a respectful. It was a respectful message. They messaged me in private. They was frightened in my presence. They messaged me in private, respectful message. I don't want no back and forth. But they messaged me because I made a video talking about these two clowns from Crew, saying, oh, they must all be Muppets down in Crew. And somebody messaged me from Crew and says, listen, we're not all divs down here, you know, we're not all like these two fucking idiots, ZDP and Scruffy Little Murph. We're all right in Crew, you know. I think if you met us, you'd probably... And they was messaging me, and I said, yeah, fair enough, mate. It's probably a little bit of an ignorant thing to say. But do you know this JDP? Do you know him personally? Like, he says, I don't know him personally. He says, nobody really knows him around here. And I think that's why he's got a bit of a problem with the stun gun, is because when I go out, people like want to shake me hand and say hello. But when JDP goes out, everyone's like, fucking hell, who's that? That's that fucking div on YouTube who's just a whipping boy, you know. He always pretends that he wants to fight people and stuff, but he never does. He's just a little muppet. just ignore him, he'll go away. And he says, yeah, he's relevant around his own area. He says, but when he got locked up, he says he's only done like 8 months in prison. He always makes out that he spent half his life in prison and he's about that life. He says he's only done like 8 months in his local jail. And he says he was in there and he was giving it the big leg, saying that he'd beat him up and he's beat him up. And one of the guys who he was on about that he'd beat up came onto the wing and put it on him. And apparently JDP had to get off the wing and put himself on the numbers. And apparently even on the numbers he was doing some sort of pad thieving or something. That's what this kid was telling me from down there. But, you know, I don't know if that's true, but that's just what this kid was saying. He says he's no to do with us. He don't represent us in Crew. He says we're all right down here. But, yeah, so that's JDP in a nutshell. Just sits around all day doing... pretending he wants to fight people. And, you know, like, he was pretending he was an assassin in prison. He even got his mate on the phone. Oh, we were assassins, weren't we, mate? Fucking hell. His fucking mate was agreeing with him, saying, yeah, mate, yeah. He's probably thinking, shut up, you muppet. But, yeah, and, you know, like, if it's somebody who's calling him out, who looks like they're a bit of a dork, like that Kung Fu Kev, then JDP's like pulling $2,000 out of his arse, trying to put kicking money down, saying, I'll fight you, I'll punch your head in, lad. But then as soon as somebody who could fight, Danny Christie, said he was going to come and doorstep him, he fucking did a massive shit in his underpants, didn't he? And he was going, oh, I'm not a fighter, I've never said I was a fighter, you know, proper crumbled. Because Danny Christie stands on business, and he knew that, and he was thinking, oh shit, he's actually going to come this time, and he fucking flapped it, mate. Massive shit in his underpants. I'm not a fighter. But, and then he started saying, if you come down, it'll be like Freddy Krueger's been through, you know, saying he's going to use a knife. Or maybe he was talking about he's going to wait for him to fall asleep, and then he's going to attack him in his sleep. That sounds more like him, doesn't it? But yeah, if it's somebody who looks like they can't fight, then he's trying to put kicking money down. But if it's somebody who looks like they can actually fight, he just flaps it and shits himself. Because he's soft as shite. I've been saying it all along, because I can see what he is. I've seen the tenner penny in any shit fucking YO jail. He's got the brain of a 12-year-old roadman. He was saying in the video about me, saying, oh, this guy, he writes stuff down. Like, well, obviously that's the way you do interesting, fun videos. You write a few ideas down and then you work around that. But he thinks that's something to laugh at. He's like, well, I don't do that. I'm fucking stupid. He's a fucking idiot, mate. He's the type of guy where, like, if there was somebody came in the room and he was sat puffing weed with his little scruffy mates, and they said, some guys come in and they're like, oh, what you doing? What you up to? And he said, oh, well, I've just been doing my homework. I've been studying for my A-levels. He'd be like, what a loser. You know what I mean? It's because this guy's trying to better himself and educate himself. Whereas JDP thinks that that's something to mock, something to laugh about. Because that's what he is. He's a proper little dosser. Never had a fight in his life. Soft as shite. Big oval oblong head on him. Even Narrative Destroyer was like, fucking hell, wind it in, son. And big fucking 9 chins, big fat Pringle arms with his little claws on the end. Big puffy fucking bitch tits because he's never worked or done a day's exercise in his life. And the man is just a whipping boy on YouTube, because there's levels to YouTube, right? There's like the top level on the dark side, not on YouTube in general, just on the dark side. There's the top level, which is like Brett May, Danny Christie, possibly Paul Venice, you know, he can get big views. Shadow Bacon, he can get big views. And then there's like mid-tier, which will be like me, maybe Hedgehog Man, maybe he's a little bit higher up. That's the mid-tier. And then there's the sewers at the bottom with all the little rats running around. That's JDP and Scruffy Little Murphy. And the other one, Rackpull, the 3 little bottom feeders. Maybe not Rackpull, because I've got to be honest, Rackpull makes me laugh now and again. There was one where he said, I always come back to this when I think about Rackpull. There's one where he was saying, talking about Dougie Joyce, and he says, oh yeah, the fucking Dougie Joyce had some good words to say about the doc. And then it cut across to Dougie Joyce, and he was looking at the screen, and he says, yeah, is that Rackpull, the big fat sweaty cunt? And then it come back onto Rackpull with his big white round head. So, you know what I mean? He does pull a few jokes out of his arse now and again, old Rackpull. So maybe he's just a little step above JDP. Because JDP, I don't think I've ever seen one of his videos and laughed. In fact, the only person that laughs at his videos is him. He was, the last video he did, he said something. He thought it was a right funny joke. Something like, oh, you sat there in your nan's house and your nan makes you... So he said something, I can't remember what he said. Oh yeah, your nan slaps you and says something. Mate, that was about as funny as Toothache. The man's got no personality, he's got no banter, he's not interesting. He's just a pufferfish, bottom feeder of YouTube. So, yeah, that's JDP, the most boring, irrelevant man on YouTube. He's a little bit jealous because Stone Gun's been getting a bit of love. And dissing, oh yeah, another thing he said was that I was laughing at Scruffy Little Midget Murphy losing weight, saying, oh, Murphy's lost loads of weight, what are you making fun of him about that for? I never made fun of him about that. I've got respect for anybody who can change their life and man enough, which is more than you can do. Oh, JDP, lose a bit of weight, you know, say, okay, I've got a bit of a problem here, I'm going to lose some weight. And that's what Midget Murphy's done. I totally respect that. But what I was making fun of is, how the fuck did he get to 26 stone in the first place? He's only 4 foot tall. It's like, it's a Marvel fucking mystery. But anyway, that's the video for today. Yeah, if you want to go and bore, if you can't sleep and you want to bore yourself to death, go and watch JDP. I suppose Murphy, he has got the ability to garner a few little giggles when he dresses up like a muppet, but he's kind of like a performing clown, isn't he? People just laugh at him. Look at this dickhead. And I'm wondering to myself, I think, who is this for? Who? You know what I mean? 6-year-old man dressing up like a priest, running around on a fucking, like a blow-up dinosaur. Who is this for? Other than Hedgehog Man to fucking react to it and take the piss out. He's just a performing monkey. The right pair of divvies, aren't they? The crew. This is not a slight on the rest of the crew. Because I'm sure there's some good lads down there, but you don't want these two guys representing you. Proper little divvies. Bonjour.